Hey everybody, Reefling here. Joining you guys today to show you a quick little thing that I cooked up the other day. I made an Aiptasia wand just out of household goods. It's pretty simple. Started here with a needle. This is the probe. You stick it inside the Aiptasia, and then there is a press button mechanism. So push this down, and then it charges it with whatever electricity or whatnot. But anyways, this tank you see before you was completely filled with Aiptasia, especially that part right in there. I want to say that there's you can probably barely see it, but there's an elkhorn colony there. And before that there was a bird's nest colony. And the Aiptasia were actually getting to the point of stinging that they've actually killed cells on there. I decided to shoot this video with the tank lights off just because of the background lighting. It's you wouldn't be able to see the wand and the tank at the same time. But it's short. I just made this with stuff laying around. I had this acrylic rod to prop the rocks up on the sand, drilled holes in the bottom, then cut off pieces of the acrylic rod for little feet to be in there so that the rock didn't need to be completely buried. That's why you'll see some of them sit up off the sand a little bit. The other thing I had was this airline tubing. It's rigid. Just bought that at a local fish store for $1 or $2, I forget which. I had this shrink wrap stuff for Arduino things just laying around. This is just a standard sewing needle. Really, you want stainless steel for this because most needles are made of aluminum, but it's perfectly fine to me to use the aluminum, but you'll see some people that advise against it. This is a safety pin here that I used, and you can see it appears rusted, but the process, I believe, is electrolysis. So I'm more inclined to believe that instead of this oxidizing and releasing stuff into the tank, the bigger danger would be this thing taking the trace elements and basically plating the clothespin with it, because you can scratch this and it's not coming off. It's almost like when you have metal plated stuff. I mean, the metal plating is charged with electricity, and it pulls the elements out of the water to plate the metal you want to plate. I want to say that's how the pennies in chemistry class in high school did it anyway. But anyway, you go up the rod here to the end, and then this little box is in between there. This box is just something I had laying around. I ordered a router bit on eBay to do some work, like a little 1/4-inch roundover bit. This is literally what I ordered here, and it came with this random box. Never even used this thing because I ordered it from China, and I wound up just buying one domestically before, I needed it faster than a month. But anyway, what I did here is there's a button, and here we go. There's a button here that's soldered, and then there's the power supply right here. I had this jack laying around. You could really solder the wires here directly to this, and then just break one side with the button, the side that you want to actually connect it. But that's really all it is. I mean, I believe on this one here, I broke the hot side, so the red wire is what I ran through the button. When you have these switches here, the longer one, let's see if I can zoom in on that. You'll have the two little prongs coming out of this, and the longer one I believe is the positive, so that would be red, and then the black would be the negative. But all this is soldered in place. I had a soldering iron laying around from Arduino stuff, and it's worked just fine for me. I haven't seen anemones come back once I really got them good. I started killing them about 3 days ago, and so far so good. The ones that do come back are the ones that their foot is inside the rock. It's up around in there, but if you can really put this needle into the stalk of it, or at least get penetration into it the entire time that you're electrifying the thing, I'm pretty sure it's going to be toast. I mean, the thing just looks like a gelatinous ball when you're done, and white stringy stuff comes out of it. I don't think there's any coming back from that. I did actually save an Aiptasia for a demo, and I'm going to go ahead and cut to that now. Okay, before I get started finishing this thing off, one of the things that I forgot to mention earlier is the power supply. I found where it was advised, due to the things I researched, where you wanted about 12 volts and 1 amp. Instead, I found 12 volts and 500 milliamps. I either had to choose that or to do 2 amps. And since you're putting electricity throughout your entire aquarium, it's I didn't really want to overdo it on the amperage. I'm sure there's some way I could have put a potentiometer to, a little dial to decide how much wattage it gets or whatever, how many volts goes through, but I didn't really want to deal with that because I'm not an electrical engineer, and I have some nice corals in there. So I went ahead and decided to go on the 500 milliamp 12 volts. Okay, this Aiptasia here is alive and well. Let's light it up. Yeah, I pulled this one here out of the sump and put it in the quarantine tank. Now, as you can see the things in it right now, you can see the bubbles start. I push the button, and I'm holding it on here until I see the white stringy stuff. And keep in mind, this is a huge Aiptasia. This thing was like 2 inches wide when I took it out yesterday. And right now it's just a ball of gel. That actually floated up to the top just now. I see another one here. Inside here, get it to where the camera can see it. This is a smaller one amongst this dragon tongue macroalgae. I'm gonna fry it too. Chemically, I don't know what this process does. I am pretty sure that it's an electrolysis type thing, though, to where it's making gas out of it, probably oxygen gas and hydrogen gas, separating the H2O, and bubbles coming to the surface. But other than that, I don't know which order is which. Some people I've read where it says there may be ozone involved. But a lot of people will be concerned about the amount of electricity involved in this. And one thing I can say is that with what we're dealing with here, there's very little electrical issue. I mean, it'd be the equivalent of throwing a 9-volt battery probably in your aquarium, which would hardly do anything. There is an electrical charge through the entire tank because your water is conductive as far as the metals in it. Salts are metals, I guess, periodically speaking. And salt water is a very good conductor. RODI water is a very poor conductor. But we mix salts and trace metals and all sorts of stuff into our water, which does help it conduct electricity. But the amount that you're talking about would be equivalent to a small pump malfunctioning, or something that somebody would have in their water if they didn't have a grounding wire or anything like that. if this doesn't work for you, I know some people do grounding cables in case pumps go faulty. Then that may interfere with how this works. I'm honestly not sure. It's just something that I had luck with. It was easy to get done. Even without a soldering iron, you would still be able to go to Walmart and get crimps to get these together. It was just easier for me to solder it because I have the iron. I have the little helper thing to hold the wires together while I do it. Little alligator clip thing. But you could easily do this project for, I mean, if you had the power supply laying around and if you mess with Arduino stuff, it won't cost you anything. I was able to find all this stuff just around my house. But somebody that doesn't dabble in that they would need a button. That's probably $1 on eBay. You know, everybody probably have a sewing needle around their house somewhere, clothespin, paper clip, something you could use for the other end of it. I don't think you really need the airline tubing to run the wire through, but in reality I probably wouldn't do that again, because the water is going to be held in there and it could possibly get backflow up to the top here. This area at the end of my acrylic rod where the wires are basically soldered to the wires coming out of this box. The problem with that is that if water goes up in here, both exposed wires are in the same area. Both the exposed wires are in this same area at the end of the rod. So if water goes up in there, it'll close the circuit and it'll probably have overheating and stuff. So this isn't something that I would recommend to redo again. I'll probably redo a better designed one later on, but if you need something just to get you by, I mean, you could make this thing for just a couple dollars, I would imagine. But yeah, message me with any questions or any amendments I need to make to this video. This is just something I threw together. And good luck with your Aiptasia. Have a good day. Bye-bye.